Hi, everybody. It's Debbie DuBois, and this is a surprise to me that I am doing this today. I had so much information coming to me over the last couple of days, and as I was looking at a lot of the groups and going through, all of the comments and everything, it just seemed so much needed right now to bring forth some information that I think will be extremely helpful for both divine masculine, divine feminine. I'm taking a moment right now to settle into my energies. It's interesting how things go. I actually got started probably 20 minutes ago, and my source connection said, check your technology. And sure enough, every single time I go live, I have this problem that keeps coming up where it'll say, oh, your camera's not recognized. And every single time I have to grab my laptop and say, okay, this is my backup plan. I'll use the laptop, and the laptop, jiggles and makes all kinds of noises. And so anyways, I finally got ready to do this on my laptop, but I said, I'll give this one more good old try. And what ends up happening? I go live. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm on my actual computer. So, what this teaches is that, we think we've got it all figured out. We think that we know what we're doing. Even today, when I was sitting there, I showered, I was like, okay, I got to take a shower. I didn't expect to do this. And I'm in the shower and I've got all this information coming to me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get on here and do this. You never know what's going to happen. You can have the best laid plans. You can be so filled with your source connection that everything seems to be flowing smoothly. And then, bing! It's like you never know what you're going to get. You never know what to expect. Well, what's really interesting is that that's some of the teachings that I've been receiving, or I should say some learning that I've been receiving, and the message came through very, very strongly with Bashar, and that is, we are here to create what we prefer. However, during these times of shifts, you're going to get stuff that you don't prefer. So the question is, what do you do with what you don't prefer? All right. So what you don't prefer, if you can see it as a stepping stone to what you do prefer, then you can stay in that higher vibrational state and use it as a stepping stone to get you where you do prefer and not match the vibration of the things that you don't prefer. That right there was key to my experience just now with the technology. I did not prefer to have technological problems, but instead of going to a place where I was like, oh God, I've got all this to do, blah, blah, blah. Instead, I said, okay, what's the next plan? This must be happening for a reason. And it does happen for a reason. I've got another case in point. Before I did this, Spirit told me to bring with me something that is a remnant of an experience that I had in my Ohio workshop with Kalina. Right here is a beautiful crystal that I bought from this wonderful crystal shop. This was such a precious commodity to me. I was holding it and I had it in my hands the whole time. And interestingly enough, I went to the ladies' room at a break, and I wondered at the time why I brought it with me, right? And I'm walking in to the restroom, and don't I just drop the darn thing, and it crashes, and a whole huge piece came off of it. And I was like, the instant it happened, it was like everything just was, the knowledge was there. It was such a perfect teaching instrument. So what do? I go back into the workshop and I said, you remember this crystal that I've been carrying around telling you how much I love? Well, it just broke. And everyone was like, oh, and I was like, but you know what? This is life handing you things that you don't expect. And it's what you do with what you don't expect. And I said, what I was shown is it broke. The only purpose for this crystal was so that I could bring it out in the workshop and say, look, I'm not attached to this crystal. I'm not attached. So if you're not attached, what happens? You're like, oh, okay, that must happen for a reason. And you make the most of it instead of dropping down into a low vibration. Oh, my crystal. So anyways, I feel that that's a good launching point for what I'm going to talk about today. First of all, I want to stop and I want to welcome everybody's on here. I see Jenny, I see Stephanie, I see Kim, I see Irina, I see Sue, I see John, I see Rachel, I see Love Light, I see Elena, Cindy, Kyle, Michelle. I see all of you. I am so happy, and I'm sure the list is continuing, but it's like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to impart some information that has been coming on. Hi, Karen. Hi, Michelle. I'm going to impart some information, and honestly, no idea what's coming. I know that a lot of information has been percolating, but certain things have happened to me within the last several days, which has just absolutely freed up my throat chakra, has freed up my ability to express, and so much has been percolating and bubbling that is for right now, that is to come out now. So we'll tap into that. We'll see what's there. Then at that point, I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit more interactive. I will go ahead and see if anyone has any questions or any experiences that they want to share that we can discuss or talk about, and we'll just fly by the seat of our pants. When I was sitting there getting ready for this, I realized, oh my God, this is what I love to do. Have no idea what's going to happen. And I'm a trained actor, and one of the things that I always preferred was improv. And that's because I was given a goal, but I wasn't given any lines, and I wasn't given any way to accomplish my goal. I just had to accomplish the goal with the fellow actors that I was with. And I had so much fun doing it because I live life in a state of constant desire to make change and to achieve what I prefer. So because I'm like that, I get so powered up when I know that there's something that I'm supposed to do, that's supposed to make a difference, that's supposed to help, that's supposed to change things, and I don't need to know what it is. I can just fly by the seat of my pants. So let's go into that now. Let's go into that fly by the seat of our pants, and let me go into that energy, and let's see what's there. Okay. I did a reading for the Divine Feminine, and the Divine Feminine messages coming back to me have been spot on, spot on, spot on. It was a card reading, and please, if you haven't seen it, please go see it. Divine Feminine, Masculine, it doesn't matter. It's helpful information that will help you to understand what's happening at this time. But as I tuned into that energy of that card reading 2 days ago, I didn't know that the information I was bringing through, I pulled the cards for myself. All right, I pulled the cards for myself, and I said, oh, these are system-wide cards. These aren't just cards for me. And I let them sit there for almost 24, 36 hours before I actually read them. And I actually decided, it was like the source was just pushing down on me, record this. And I thought, okay, I'll just record it with audio and do it the way I do some of my readings. So I did that. And I didn't know that the information that was coming through was going to help and prepare me for my own situations of clearing that were to come within the next 24 to 36 hours. And the wisdom that was brought through in those permission slips, which is what tarot cards are. Bashar talks about that all the time. They're permission slips for me to tune in to what I already know. And they were literally me creating my reality, looking down at cards that shaped my understanding of what was happening. So as I was doing this, I tuned into those cards. The reading came through so powerfully within a 16-minute period of time. Boom, it was done. I didn't even publish them actually for another 24 hours as things would have it. But the response has been so incredible that everyone who has truly been on this path, and what I mean by that is you are doing your work. This isn't dating, people. This isn't dating. This is soul-searching, heart-wrenching, gripping work on how to get back in your own power, how to get back into your own knowing, to tune into yourself, to discover your feminine and masculine balance within yourself, to remove all things that you have inside of yourself that are codependent and needy, to be able to find the space within yourself where your heart expands and you can connect with all at the same level. No special love, just love. So those people who have been doing this work, this is the reading that came through for you for the divine feminine. And it's also a signpost for those who have yet to really begin that work, to begin to understand that this is not about the Romeo and Juliet romance, that the path, has been portrayed to be. It is only the carrot at the end of the stick, which brings us to this place where we desire to be, which is in our complete wholeness and love, and being able to share that without projecting any garbage onto any other person and putting them in the role of having to be that shadow figure for us. They can then show up in their divine being, free of their illusions. And then this is how we create heaven on earth. So everyone seemed to really, really be receiving the information that came through on that reading. And I even had requests, well, what about the divine masculine? Do a reading for the divine masculine. And, that is exactly what my plans were for today, because I was just simply going to tune into that energy. And as I was sharing the reading for the divine feminine before I got prepared to pull cards, I was stopping by some of the rooms, Twin Flames Divine, Twin Flames Mirror, Twin Flames Eternal, and the call was all the same. It was the divine masculine was literally posting, I'm a wreck, I'm upset inside, I'm here at a party, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't feel like I need to be here right now. I heard posts of, people who are feeling lonely, who have been feeling very triggered about being in separation from their counterpart or the person that has been their carrot on the stick, if you will. And I just felt overwhelmed with the need to share some information that was coming through to me about this path, and also to share some of my understandings of where we're headed in 2018, because 2018, we all thought that 2017 was really going to be a year of physical manifestation of some of the things that we've been working so hard on. And actually, if you really look at it, so many of the seeds have been planted in 2017. And what we're doing right now is we're sitting on them, and they are germinating, and they are waiting to sprout. But it's not there yet. It's not time yet. There's things that have to be done. Okay? There's things, it's almost like if you can think about the fact that we are completely supported by the unseen. And the unseen is moving all the pieces on the chessboard. And, one of the readings that I was listening to from Bashar was talking about what's happening right now is we're all on the trains that we're supposed to be on. Okay, we've pulled out of the station. We can see the other trains departing. They're still in our reality, these trains that are not of our vibration, but they're moving out of the vibration. And as they do, they're becoming less and less real to us. They're there, but they're not as real. And the train that we're on is more about creating what we prefer. So interestingly enough, we've planted all these seeds, but there's the unseen. And the unseen is what's moving the pieces on the chessboard. And what Bashar was saying is that what happened last year in 2017, or was it 2016 during the election? I've totally lost track of time. When we had the election of a new president, it was like something happened where everyone went, what? It's such an unexpected turn of events. Some big things have been happening that are like, well, sheesh, I didn't expect that. When you have that kind of stuff happening, suddenly you're beginning to understand. Expect the unexpected. Expect things to change, even though you might not know that they're getting ready to change. They're changing, they're evolving, and you don't know what's going to happen next. And see, that's where I get really excited because that's me, right? That's the improv. I don't know what's going to happen next. And things have been happening to me that I'm like, well, shit, I didn't see that coming. And it's like, well, that can be viewed as really, really bad, or it can be viewed as really, really good. So we have the unseen that is around us, moving the pieces on the chessboard. And as they do, these things are being revealed. But meanwhile, we've planted our seeds and we feel like we know what we're going, but we're not quite sure. Are we doing the right thing? We're not really sure where we are in our connections, right? So here comes 2018, okay? In the reading for the Divine Feminine, it talks about the uncertainty that the Divine Feminine energy within us is feeling. Lest we not forget, we are Divine Feminine and Masculine, okay? So I've been seeing some really fascinating things as I'm talking about the Divine Masculine. And I was getting ready to go into a reading about what I see is happening with the Divine Masculine. What's being revealed to me is that I am responding to the patriarchal Divine Masculine in myself as I'm going through the shift. What is the Divine Masculine patterns? Fear of loss of control, fear of where we're going, letting go of codependency. There's some of these fears that the Divine Masculine, I say that actually it's the patriarchal masculine, it's the programming, okay? And I'm seeing that I've been holding that vibration within myself. And as the patriarchal energies are starting to work their way out of the divine masculine, the beautiful, beautiful being of the masculine that is meant to be, that is meant to dawn here. There is patriarchal masculine that's still sitting in the divine feminine. And I've been seeing it and witnessing it in myself. And I have, over the last several days, started to begin to tune into that and start to release that connection. I had a very significant clearing this last couple of days. Kalina was there at a time when I knew that there was something sticking in me, and she worked with me. We haven't really been collaborating. We're both really right now, for those of you all who know, we have done work together. We've already seen that 2008 is a year where we kind of go on to do the work that we've been meant to do in very different ways. But there's so much impact that the connection has meant for both of us over the last couple of years in developing our skills, talents, and abilities, that it was just happenstance that she reached out to me at a time where I was blocked in certain ways and needed to be unblocked. So I went through a process with her. And after I went through this process, what I realized was now is that, just like I said before, permission slips. It is a permission slip that I needed within myself to delve into my own psyche, to develop into my own resistance to what's happening, and to be able to release it and let it go. This is where we're all at right now who have been on this journey. We are at a place where we need to release and let go the final things that have stopped us from creating the seeds. And in the meantime, all these puzzle pieces and chess pieces are all being rearranged. So this is what we're feeling at the end of 2017. And then some people are very physically, and I say physically, etherically, attached to their counterparts. So as your counterpart, or the person you fixated on as that being, it doesn't matter what that connection is. I've been shown there's so many different levels of connection here now. Okay. So it doesn't matter what your connection is, but if you have been, I want to say psychically, etherically, physically, emotionally, mentally connected with another person. If that person's going through stuff, you're feeling it. All right. Now, the thing that we have to understand is that even though we all have the ability to merge our energies with another person, and I think we've talked about that enough in the rooms and stuff, that just because those energies are there does not mean that they should take up residence in our field. We can all be as one, but we have to be careful that their energies are not entangled with our energies, that our energies, our energy bodies, our chakra systems, our divine bodies in all respects, emotional, physical, etheric, that those are clear of others. It doesn't mean you're not one with everyone and those special counterpart divine partners, but you need to have your field clear so that you can really truly live from your own energy body and not be affected by their energy body. So it's extremely important to know right now is to set that intention that you wish to have your energies to your complete. It's the only way to really achieve the freedom that we're here to achieve. See, the thing about this path is that the path is really one to freedom. And that is freedom from codependency. It is freedom from your divine expression of who you are, why you came, all the blocks that you have to it. And that is what Ascension is about. That is what mastery is about. So that is the emphasis and focus of where we are right now. Okay? Now, I want to share just a little bit about what I have been shown about my own personal path, because this path is something that people are going to relate to if they're on this path, okay? And I don't know if I'm just ahead of the curve or there's several of you that are on the same place in the arc of time, but I'm going to share what I was shown the other day as I was sitting in a pasture. Well, pasture, it's actually just this big, huge field. And I went and I just grounded myself in the energies. Actually came up with and videotaped something. It was my stand. It was my stand in my own personal power. And it was really for my own purposes, but it is something that you yourself may want to do. Let me explain. I have been connecting with my energy field and my purpose here for the last several weeks. And really starting to define and carve out why I'm here. Because what has become very clear to me is while I have experienced the matrix construct of a twin flame connection, experience, growth, and relate and have the filter of it, that's not why I came, okay? I am able to be from that perspective because I understand it. And I believe I took on this path and this role so that I could understand what all are going through. But the truth is that there are only a certain number of people that came to put that energy of that undoing, if you will, of these old patriarchal templates, the deconstruction of the codependency, of the socioeconomical anchors that we created in these relationships that were programmed into us for a very long time. And what's coming in 2018 beyond is the freedom within loving connections, the freedom to not be codependent and to be here to do your divine expression without necessarily throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Oh, I got to be on my own because I can't be with another person, because if I'm with another person, I can't be my divine expression of self. And that's what I'm picking up that a lot of the divine feminine is at, I can't really be with another person because, there's nothing that's matching the vibration of that right now. So I'm feeling a little bit, weary of that experience. Well, there is work to be done here still in balancing the divine feminine and masculine on the planet. And I was shown clearly that the divine feminine has done a lot of the work, okay? But let us not discount the experiences of hell that a lot of the divine masculine have been going through over the past couple of years. Because the divine masculine is more awake than you might imagine. Okay, they are completely awake and aware to the fact that things aren't working anymore. And they are many times, and I've spoken with so many of the divine masculine, they know that they want to shift it up. They know that things have to change. They literally have been seeing these non-functional, unhelpful, destructive energies at work, and many of them have simply been dropping the emotions that are attached to that so that they can continue on and keep going. So I want us all who are at a place where we are, starting to experience, we have all these seeds planted. We have to remember the divine masculine who has also, and I get very emotionally when I think about this. This is hitting me very emotionally. They have also planted their seeds of hope. They have also planted their seeds of love and their seeds of great, expansive, creative possibilities. There is something that they have yet to be able to do. And it has been shown to me so clearly that this is their next step, their next unfoldment is self-care. It is caring for self. And my mother, she showed me something in her connection, the word that came up that really describes where the divine masculine has been programmed that is making it so difficult for them to break free, to really, really embrace their own path and to move into the higher vibrational experiences in manifesting. It's not that it's not there, but the manifestation of it, the word of the programming from the patriarchal masculine is obligation. Obligation. They are so heavily programmed from the day that they are born to be obligated to support everybody around them, that they never learned how to support themselves. And do you understand how important, divine feminine, you're taught to nurture yourself. Well, I would say I want to back that up a little bit. As parents, as mothers, as a kid, you were taught, take care of everybody else. And, so maybe I'm just speaking from where I'm at now because I've unlearned all of those things that you have to take care of everybody else but yourself. You cannot take care of another person until you yourself take care of your own needs, whether that is physically, spiritually, emotionally, that it impacts everything. It impacts your home life, your work life, your monetary standing, everything. Because where are you if you are in a constant state of stress? Now, there are those that believe that the objective of that path is to just release and let go of the stress. And then there are others that I know of that believe still that this is just the lot that they've been handed, that this is what they're supposed to be experiencing, okay? This is the shift point, the change point that has to happen right now. And the divine masculine has to do this work themselves. They have to see that there's nobody that's going to care for you, divine masculine. You are going to have to learn how to put your needs first, how to put other things aside and say, I must eat properly. I must sleep properly. I must work out properly. I must say no when I need to say no. And I must go where I need to go and do what I need to do. And that will allow me to actually be able to show up more fully for those that really want you to take care of yourself. Hope that helps. But that right there is what I've kind of been shown is where the masculine is right now. And, you know, nothing is going to shift and change in anybody's worlds until they realize how important self-care is. And it was the piece of me that I had to discover, I would say maybe 4 years ago, when nobody in my family wanted to eat the same foods and I wanted to do the healthy foods. And I finally went to my family and I said, listen, I said, I'm going to fix this type of meal. If you would love to join me, I will share. If you don't, then you just really need to fend for yourself. And I did this, and it actually continues to this day. Now, we eat together a lot more often, and I might not be as healthy as I wish I was at this point. But again, you know, when we get so mired down in the stress of making changes and stuff, we tend to forget to put ourselves first. So divine feminine, while you're sitting here waiting for the manifestation of all those seeds that you've placed there, and I'm not saying you're waiting because I know most of you are so busy, it's not necessarily waiting, but I want to say there's this feeling of sadness that things haven't come to fruition yet, or there's feelings of disappointment. And in many cases, there are feelings of anxiety, worry. What have I done? A lot of you have turned your lives upside down. I cannot believe how many of you were brave enough to walk away from karmic connections that do not suit you. And I know women who spent Christmas alone, you know who you are, because they walked away from the connection that no longer suited them. And they knew that they had to start creating new. And so that is essentially where we are going now, is how do we shift from that perspective of sadness and everything else and jump right into what Bashar would say is, you know, and this is the perfection of how things are all laid out. If this is a state you do not prefer, how can you see it as a step to what you do prefer instead of matching the vibration of what you don't prefer? That was the message that I felt I needed to bring, because right now, so many of you, I know the holidays are really difficult. The holiday was difficult for me. There was this sense of sitting back and observing this picture story perfect, I keep hitting my microphone, this picture story perfect of the Christmas of old. And being so happy for those people that were experiencing the joy and happiness of it. And there was a piece of me that was experiencing the happiness that they were experiencing and playing the role. But there was another piece of me that was watching, that was realizing that I have such desire to literally do it differently, to celebrate the holidays differently, to make it a much more spiritual experience, to make it a much more connected experience, and to know, while I could embrace that this might be the last year that I do things this way, because change is here. It's here, and we're manifesting it. and we're creating it. And I'm starting to see, I mean, there's so many of you that have just been typing, and Christine and Michelle. Hi, Michelle. And Margaret. And oh my gosh, I guess I mean, I could go start looking at, you know, what we might want to talk about. But I still, it's funny because, you know, I know when I connect in, it's like all this stuff just comes through me. But the beauty of it is every once in a while you disconnect and you're like, what am I supposed to say now? And it's like, when you're like me and you really thrive on that, you go, okay, I'll reconnect in a second. But for now, I'm just going to enjoy, you know, hey, this is just me. I'm, you know, unconnected. I've actually had people say that to me in sessions. It's like, it's so obvious when you get connected, disconnect, disconnect, because I'm so aware of it. All right. I want to get back just briefly before I start talking you know, specifically on the thread, you know, and addressing some things. And please, if you have questions, now's the time to start putting them on there. What I was shown is that it's time for me to step out of the twin flame path because it's completed. That does not mean that I'm not here to support those people on that path. I am. But for me, I'm being called to teach about relationships in general. And I mean loving, sexual partnerships, sacred partnerships. It all translates into the same thing. It ends up translating into the same kind of relationship dynamics. It helps you in all your relationships, in other words. So it's not just those. But I realized as I started to complete my own journey and path in that there's so much more beyond. And I'm very committed to helping people who are, you know, looking for sacred partnership. At this point, it doesn't matter whether you're a twin flame, twin soul, twin ray, twin anything. None of that matters anymore. I'm going to say that. It is about the connection that you prefer to have with another. And that connection could be any dynamic that your soul chose. So I am going to say right now that I believe that there are people who, just like there are people who came down to be doctors and lawyers and everything else, there are people, beings that decided to split their soul in two, and sometimes maybe even more, and embody at the same time in different spaces. I am going to say that because to say that it's not possible is insanity. Anything is possible. There's only a few laws to the universe. We can do whatever we want here. We are absolute master creators. So yes, I do believe that there are twin flames here on the planet. Okay. Having said that, I believe that the only reason that happened was to bring the shift and the change for the all, so that all could experience the connection. And it all starts with coming into your own wholeness and into yourself. And I feel that the twin flame path is a rapid ascension, almost like plugging into the matrix, like Trinity. And the veil comes off and you are awake and you are aware and you understand and you see, and it's an accelerated process. That was the purpose of it. That was the purpose of it. But the purpose of it really is for all. For all. I can see myself now working with married people who really love each other, who are not necessarily, karmic partners, that are literally love soulmate partners who wish to create in their own experience the beauty and the freedom that comes along with coming into your wholeness and taking away the all the programs that stop you from connecting at the level that you're meant to connect. I could work with anybody because this is why we're here. And if you came in on the path that I'm talking about, that catalytic, the blinders come off, you understand it, guess what? You're here to do the same thing, to be a demonstration of that walk, to help others in your everyday life understand how it is you came to be who you are, how you found your authentic self. This is a teaching learning path. So where I'm going from here, and I sure hope a lot of you will be joining me on the path, is I have the soul connection. This is interesting because this is what has come to me. I am not unlike Bashar, the energy of Abraham, the energy of Cryon. The difference between a lot of those beings and me is that I'm here in my own skin, in my own power, in my own name. And I'm not bringing through I'm not channeling another being, okay? I have an understanding at a soul level, which is being unlocked, which is perfectly aligned with the teachings of Bashar, with the teachings of Abraham, of the teachings of Cryon. I have walked with Katumi for 3 years. In blessings to Kalina for letting me experience him in the physical. He is now coming to me etherically to remind me of the teachings that we've done together in terms of why I have come and why I am here. And then the other piece that I bring is A Course in Miracles, which I studied for many years, and I still, almost a lot of the concepts that are constantly coming through are filters. I'm seeing through the filters. And what I've been shown is that this path, the thing that I'm doing differently than all of them, is I came for relationships. I came to show the way to relationship with others, with another, with how to shift your perspective and your, how you're viewing things in relationship to another sacred partner. And of course, all of that is translated into general, because when you are walking in that ascended higher perspective being, then you recreate that kind of connection with all beings that come in. And you literally are creating heaven on earth because you're calling forth their fifth dimensional selves. So you are in essence giving other people a chance maybe to see their own fifth dimensional selves for the first time, because that's how you see them. And this is how we heal the world together. So 2018, get ready, because we are literally taking this whole thing to a new level. And will we be coming into sacred partnerships? You betcha. You betcha. They may not have materialized the way you expected them to. You cannot expect anything at this point. I mean, seriously. It's like, whoop, what the heck just happened? Your head will spin with some of the things that are coming, but that is how it has to happen. It can't be something that it's like step A, step B, step C. A Course in Miracles talks about miracles being a collapse of time. That is what a miracle is. It's when something happens now that you think would take all of this time to have happen. It doesn't have to be that way. We don't have to hold time any longer. We can create what we wish to create now. All right? So 2018 is going to be about physically creating partnerships, creating our missions, where we've come in, what we're supposed to do, what we know we're leaning towards. I've talked to several different people, Marla, Jenna, Michelle, and the thing is that all the messages are actually, you know what all of us are doing? We're kind of stepping back and saying, wait a minute, I'm not here just for a twin flame community, although the beautiful people that have gathered in that community, we are on this path together, or we wouldn't be in the same space. But there are so many ways that we can free ourselves from the discomfort, the pain, and blossom into the most beautiful beings that we are meant to be. And that is why I'm here, to experience it and to be it and to share it with all of you. So there you go. I do have a Divine Masculine reading coming. I feel like I've given a lot of some of it here, but the big word is obligation. You know, they got to break obligation within themselves without feeling that they're bad humans. You know what I mean? That's the trick. Many of them believe that if they focus on their own needs, that they're selfish because they've been taught that. It's up to you, Divine Feminine, to show them that's not true. Go be selfish for a while. Go do what you got to do. Put your distance, put your space. Go back and do what you got to do. Don't be needy. Let them have their space. Let them go do what they got to do and show them, prove to them that that is the key to shifting and changing everything. All right, let's see if there are any questions or anything. All right, I am going to go back up. Let's see. All right. All right, so I see some agreement on the obligation. I'm so glad that some of you are catching me live for the first time. I'm going to be doing this a lot more. Okay, so Rachel, she says her Christmas was the opposite. Lots of frustration, changing the new idea of Christmas. You know, Rachel, that really only kind of shows you where you're at in your process, but it shows you you're in your process. And that is that you're awake and aware of what you're experiencing during that period of time. All right. So it's waking you up to, and you might, I'm not trying to insinuate you're not awake, but it is, when you say the frustration of changing the new idea of Christmas, I'm not sure exactly if you mean that you don't want to change the new thing of Christmas or it's not changing for you. It's interesting because mine didn't change. In fact, it went back to a storybook depiction, but it was a storybook that my old self would have said is the storybook, but it wasn't necessarily the storybook of the new. So, it just says to me, it's just where you are in the process. And we are all at different places in the process. And so just keep going, because no matter what your process is, everything that you need, everything that is, it's kind of like whether you prefer or you don't prefer, it's all sitting right there. We're on the accelerated trains now. You really can't go back. There's no going back. We've left the station. We're chugging along. And I think that that's where some of the fear and the anxiety comes from, is like, holy shit, I can't undo this. And the little self says, I want to go back. And I think the indication of how I spent my Christmas shows me, when I talk about the completion of this specific path, it means that, we focus on things. And we use certain things as our teaching tool, and it becomes our highest motivation. The highest motivation is union with the twin. How many times do we all hear this? That motivation is no longer in my highest priority at all. And that just, to me, I'm signifying the completion of the thought system being something that drives me forward spiritually, but everything that I can offer through my community of exchange with all of you is always from the filter of experience. That's the difference between being a channel, being a clear channel. You're not usually coming through with your own filter of experience, or very minimally, because the channel learns to get out of the way. With me, the information that comes through is inspired by higher vibrational energies, but it is through the filter of my own experience here on Earth. And Terry Wilson and I were just talking about the fact that our job here is a little bit more about practical experience and practical application. You know, that's why Kalina and I have kind of gone, you know, gosh, we're still sisters, of course, but she has more of the metaphysical, and she's starting to partner with Claire Stone, and they are much more along the metaphysical path of experience, and say someone like Terry and I, we're really here more in the how do we make this work in a 3D, and I say, I'm not in 3D. We're not in 3D anymore, people, but I mean in the physical realm, how do we apply this stuff? I am an applier. I get criticized for it sometimes. I apply everything and make everything. I stand in the shoes. I apply it. But me applying it, I can apply it. I can sit and put your coat on and stand in your shoes, and I can literally see the higher perspective of what you're going through. So there's that, you know, I'm bringing through what your soul wants you to know by putting on the coat of your experience, but through the filter of experience that we both have at the same time, because we've experienced something similar enough. That's why the people that find me often have the same kind of experiences that I've had, or they're going through some of the same experiences, or we have. That's the way it works. That's the beauty of it. That's the rich fabric of our connection with each other, is that we overlap. You know, this is us. We're a woven fabric of experience, and we help each other along the way. So, all right, so question from Michelle. Let's see. When finding the courage to end karmic relationships, did anyone feel like trying to cut ties with the twin at the same time? This is how I'm feeling. Okay. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about karmic relationships. And when I talk about the courage to end karmic relationships, I want to say this. Relationships are in your life for a reason until they are no longer in your life. And it's interesting. I'm not going to talk specifically about someone, but I've got to say thank you. You know who you are, for sharing this experience with me. There was, and they can speak of it themselves if they wish, but there was someone that I know that literally decided, okay, I'm giving up on my twin, and I'm going to go back to my karmic partner, and I'm just going to make things work. Well, they got there, and the partner said the very day, I think it's time we get the divorce that we've been moving towards. And it was like, well, I guess that door's closed. Do you see what I'm saying? That is when a karmic relationship ends. But, you know, I have to say this in my own personal experience. Through my whole experience, stayed in my marital situation to work through all of the things. In other words, to use that experience, which is also a mirrored experience, to help me undo the programs that brought us together in the first place. So you have to remember that it's not just your sacred counterpart that is mirroring your small self or your blocks to love. It's showing up in your karmic partners. It's showing up in these relationships that are there. And yes, we always have the option of goodbye and moving on from it. But when we do that, we tend to take that baggage with us, and we just have to still do it. So, hey, there's those of you who are like, I can't stay in that. And that's fine. I'm not telling anyone what to do. But what I'm saying is give great consideration to when you talk about ending karmic relationships. Is that path really finished? If it's finished and you're both at peace and you know that, you know, it's time to move on, then by all means do so. But I wanted to put that in there. Now, trying to cut ties with the twin. Okay, let's talk about that. It's the same concept. You know, I guess it's really not very much of a different concept. If that person is in your life, then they're in your life for a reason. So why would you want to cut ties? Do you understand? Now, if they're not in your life and all you're doing is feeling the emotional connection and the etheric connection and the pull and all of that, you still can't cut the connection. But what you do with that connection can be shifted. Again, it's going back to that same thing. What do you prefer? What do you prefer? And if you're in situations that you don't prefer, like in this situation where you don't prefer being connected with that person, but they're in your life and you're connected, then how can you use that connection to move you to a space where you do prefer? Does that make sense? So I am not a great believer that we can cut ties. We can. I've seen it done. I've seen people shut the door and walk away from things. When you have focused your soul attention, and that's what happens in these connections, no matter what the connection is, you've focused your attention so heavily on that particular person. And if you have had some kind of a connection, relationship, or whatever, you have like a shared body energy that you are experiencing. I guess the question is what does your higher self tell you about the connection with that person? You know, is that done? Is that not done? I don't believe that, it's kind of like the trains. It's like when you're in the train and you're going on the train, the people that are on the train with you are the people that are on the train with you. And you can look over at that train on another track and you could say, I really wish I was on that train. But you're not on that train, you're on this train. So, but if you prefer to be on that train, how can you use your experience of being on this train to get you to where you do prefer, which would be being on that train? And I don't know if that's actually like physically answering that question about, you know, can you cut ties? And I'm trying to go into my knowing on this. We're all one, you know. I think that we can make a conscious choice to move that person out of our reality. But your soul is going to pull you back together again if it's meant to be. You know what I'm saying? If it's not meant to be, then, you know, it's going to work itself out anyways. So I guess I'm a big proponent for letting things unfold, stay in the moment of now, and see what happens. All right, so Michelle, I hope that helped. Yeah, Terry says exactly. We're supposed to help the non-TFs. They learn from us how to have awesome soul connections. And when it boils right down to it, that's what we're looking at doing too, is having soul connections. It's all about soul connections, you know, because what I was shown is even if you have come down here where you've split into 2 or sometimes more, you know, energy strands, and you've embodied in several bodies, the truth is that your energy strand is complete in and of itself. And you don't, and you are right, you have a right to that energy of your own individuation, or you wouldn't have chosen that. So, you know, we have to remember that just because you may, if you feel that you are a person who is in, you know, one soul in 2 bodies, it doesn't mean the other person has any autonomy over your body at all, just because it came from the same soul. I mean, that's like saying, my body is open for all, because essentially we're all part of the same, you know, Godhead energy. So I'll just let everybody have, you know, my energy. No, you have your own autonomy. So that might be something to look at. Let me see here. Okay. Let me see. Ben says next chapter. Love it. Yes, I'm really looking forward to the new chapter, aren't you? All right. Let's see. I saw that what your path came up when you first said you are changing. I saw a bright red color, ascended source. Well, that's interesting, because I don't see it. So funny. You know, like Colleen always has told me she has all the clairs, you know, Claire, audio, everything. You know, at this point, it's like I want to say I'm so damn human. It's like I'm so damn human. How come I can't see all the auras and the, you know, the metaphysical shapes and all that? Not that I haven't, but, you know, I guess what I feel is that it really has been my path to walk among humans and be human, even though we're all not human. You know what I'm saying? But I know that I was meant to experience what a lot of people are experiencing, which is not having those mystical experiences that show you, because I'm going on blind faith here. You know, I'm not seeing this or saying that. I have a sense of what's in my being. And I actually think that that's part of my path of why I came. You know, it is a mastery in and of itself to not know what's on the other side of the veil, and yet to come from your heart and live as if you're on the other side of the veil with no knowledge in your brain, so to speak, or your physical experience of your eyes and your, you know, all of that stuff. So anyways, thank you. Someone had their twin with them physically today. I'm glad that you had some experience like that. I'm sure it was pleasant. Kim says, looking forward to the Divine Masculine reading. I feel like he's doing the last bit of breaking away and healing he needs to do. That's an acceleration path that the masculine is going through. Yes. And I can't wait to see. I have to make sure when I do this reading, it's like, one of the things I can honestly say about these readings that I do is I don't just do them and say, oh, I'm just going to pull cards. You know, a lot of times I just pull cards and for me to understand where I'm at, and I just know, ding, 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 this is for everybody. And that's when I, you know, pull that stuff. Jeff, I'm so glad to know that this is on point for you. Yes, we should talk. That's perfect. Jenny says, my divine masculine cheated on me and suddenly moved in with another woman. I'm holding space within my heart, healing my wounds while he goes through his obligations. Meanwhile, I'm also finding my spiritual purpose. Jenny, this is exactly what I was talking about when I said expect the unexpected and what you prefer and what you don't prefer. Obviously, you do not prefer this experience. I mean, who would, right? But what I would say is that there's two ways to do this. You either view that whole thing as a stepping stone to what you do prefer by looking at it from a higher perspective and saying there must be some things that this man needs to see about himself that you are not able to show him, that someone else needs to show him. And trust that. Trust the unfolding of it. And in the meantime, you know, try very hard not to fall down into the vibration that would typically be accompanied with that experience, which is, you know, it will push all the buttons that need to be pushed within you, which is also part and parcel of why stuff happens. You know, it's not always just for you, not always just for him, but also for you. So I would say go into each of the things that this triggers, and uncover those things. And then, you know, this is another thing Bashar always says, you know, when you go into these triggers, you know, what is it that you must believe about yourself in order for this feeling to be true for you? And explore that. And when you explore what you really must believe for you to have that feeling, more often than not, you're going to find out, well, I'm just telling myself a bullshit story. And then you're like, oh, well, then I don't have to tell myself that story anymore. Let me tell myself a new story. And stories can be helpful. You know, it's much better if you're not able to drop stories altogether. It's much better to tell yourself a story that is helpful than to tell yourself a story that puts you in very low vibration. So that's what I would say about that. You know, when you say you're finding your spiritual path, your life is your spiritual path. And I'm very, very, you know, I don't like the word proud, supportive. I'm very, very supportive of that journey because it ain't easy. You know, an old acting teacher of mine used to say, it's simple, but it ain't easy. And that's the path. It's very simple, but it's not easy because you got so many programs running and you got so many familial templates and you got a society that is, you know, shoving certain things down your throat. And yet the overall arching energies is one of the higher vibrations. So you're highly supported. I send you my love and make the most of this. Change what you don't prefer into what you do prefer. See it as a stepping stone, okay? All right. Stephanie says, there's been so focused on union mission. In my experience, as you say, it's been about developing personal mission and reframing our individual message to share with the collective. That said, I do think twins are and will work together, and it's how I met my twin initially. I know we all understand this, you know, a collaboration. I want to just add to that, that there are a lot of people who have come here, twin flames or not, who are coming in collaboration to, you know, have this walking ministry, if you will. It's really just something inside of you that expresses itself outward into the universe to reflect back to you what you're trying to experience, and therefore really you're just teaching yourself. So, you know, I'm beginning to understand that all that I'm teaching is really just stuff that I'm really trying to learn. And I learn through my projection onto others. So the spiritual mission, you know, let's talk about mission. Mission is anything you can do here to make the world a better place. That's it. Whatever you can do to make it a better place. Whatever you can do to bring that high vibrational energies here. It can be done, you know, in any platform, in any perspective. It doesn't just, you know, people think about twin flame mission, you know, they think about twin flames that have actually merged and come together, people that believe that they are one soul beings and that are literally together and walk around the planet as one, you know, teaching instrument. You know, a lot of people think that that's what, you know, this catalytic heart awakening connection is for. I think that there's a part of that that's true. And in your case, Stephanie, obviously, if that's how you met and you're all about spiritual teaching, you know, obviously that's true for you. But there are some that are out there saving the whales. There are some that are out there feeding the hungry or supporting, you know, battered women, or, you know, and I want to say there are some that are doing completely different callings and not even in like the same physical time space, but they have, you know what I'm saying? They're not like maybe living under one roof, or they're not in that kind of relationship, but they're out changing the world from their own perspective. With now you got two people from the same perspective out working on something, you know, even in separate places. And I'll tell you something, you know, the value of the whole ascension process of coming into your own awakening and your own awareness is that you can be apart from someone. You can be apart from that person. You know, you can be in a separate space and not feel like you're being pulled back to the physical location of that person. You know, sometimes that's why there's two. So that you can go separate places and be in two places at one time without being a clone. But seriously, you know, and you got to be like the mission above all else. I'm here to do this, and my partner is there to do that. And I trust them implicitly that they are standing in their own power and authentic being, doing their work, and I'm doing mine. And there's no lack. There's no wishing we were in the same space at the same time. You know, that's part of the maturity of moving into the higher spiritual expression of the connection, is not to have to be. That doesn't mean that people aren't actually in the same space. We all know that that's nice too. So anyways, all right. Thank you, Stephanie. Rachel says you limit yourself if you feel it is just about the connection. There's so much more to it. And I totally agree with this. Kyle says the focus is different now, not on twin flame, not on small. I want to say SM, and I want to say small, but me. I'm not sure what the SM is, but it's on you. And yes, that is. But see, thank you, Divine Masculine. The focus has to start being on themselves, and they have to start owning that, and they have to start telling those in their circle of support that, you know what, I've supported you for a really long time, and I need to support some things in my own self now. I need to become at one with myself now. And I see that right in my own home. You know, my spouse, I am still married to my spouse, and we are the best of friends. And we've worked through so much of our stuff. I walked in, he created his own man cave. We have separate rooms, you know, and it's amazing. But anyways, we're still able to see our children together, and you know, I'm sure that there are, you know, there's more movement in that situation coming, but you know, for now, it's like he created this space in his man cave. It's his room, and he organized things differently. And every time I go in there, he's in his lazy boy, and he's got his space. And you know, I almost sit thinking of the pipe and the, you know, and the newspaper. I mean, I'm always thinking of this, you know. And I just went in there, I just smiled. I'm like, I'm so happy to see you embracing your space, This right now, Kyle. This is exactly where the divine masculine needs to be. They need to be saying, hey, everybody, yeah, I've been a big support system. I've done all of this for you, and I'm here for you. But guess what? I need to go off and do something for myself. You know, I want to know what's wrong with divine masculine deciding, you know what, I need a vacation. I'm going by myself off into the mountains by myself, to be by myself, to regenerate, to rejuvenate, to, you know, where is that? That is what needs to happen. You know, the divine feminine's already caught that wind, and we learned it from the divine masculine because they've been so able to compartmentalize traditionally. They're one thing here, they're one thing there. They're strong, they don't show their emotions, they're fearless, they move forward. Well, you showed us that. You showed the divine feminine that. And we learned from you, and we learned how to stand in our power and be strong, strong like you are. We have something to teach you now, which is you need to love and nurture yourself. And your partners need to start understanding that, or you need to dump them, because if they don't understand it, then there's something wrong there. Because the evolving, spiritually expressing divine feminine gives the masculine room to grow and room to breathe and room to live, and is not needy of that person. So in your situations, you just got to keep that in mind. All right, let's see. Smita, my work bridges the metaphysical with the practical. There you go. And that is what is there. There is the bridge. So we've got some of us that are working on the physical. We've got some of us that are working on the metaphysical. And we've got people like Smita that are working between the two. How to bring that metaphysical into the physical reality. Yes, and Smita, I love you, dear. That's all I can say. She's an amazing person, and I'm really looking forward to doing, you know, work with her and seeing some of the work that she's doing. All of you, it's like I'm looking at the names that are here. Jenna, oh my God, Jenna and I talked for, gosh, what, 3 hours into the middle of the night. I think it was 3 o'clock in the morning here when we hung up, and we had some of the most incredible conversation. You know, we're starting to understand, all of us, that this is so much bigger than what it started out to be, and so much is I don't know, so much of it is just starting to come to fruition. So much of this new stuff is just starting to dawn on us. How can we help others move forward? And a lot of you are here with me right now. Suzanne, Fen, Maura, staying in the moment of now. Exactly. That is what I've learned. It's in the now, now, now. Everything is in the now. In fact, that's one of the things that Bashar says. He says there's what? 5 laws. You exist. You are the all. And the all is you. Everything happens in the now, and everything changes except these laws. You know, I mean, and I think there's one more, but I can't remember what it is. There's 5. That's it. There's no other laws. Everything else is opinion, belief, structures that we put here on the planet or in our own minds, and opinion, perspective, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, stay in the moment of now. That's how I do this. That's how I do this, is that I just stay in the moment of now. The moment that's when I disconnect, is when I go, oh, I forgot that. And then you know, it's like dog, that movie, or that movie where the dog says squirrel. That's when I unconnect, but I stay in the moment of now. Okay, Kyle, what if some people are supposed to be, all right, what if some people supposed to be gone from your life come back and you don't like them coming back, feeling that person was not supposed to come back? Okay, goes right down to the prefer. What do you prefer? Someone comes into your life that you would prefer did not come back into your life. What are you going to do? You're going to go into that, whatever those feelings are that they bring back to you? Or are you going to say, well, let me see it from a higher perspective to say there must be something that they're bringing back, even if it's just to show me I still have these feelings that I need to let go of for them to leave again. So we use it as a stepping stone to get what you prefer. I hope that helps. Because you know what? People come back into our lives all the time. That's what I meant about we get rid of people out of our lives. We cut them out of our lives. I'll never forget. There's this one guy. I've never done this before, but there's one person who I was friends with for two solid years. He was a total narcissist. He snapped me one day. I threw my cell phone across the horse pasture and said, F this, I'm not doing this anymore. I never spoke to him again. Blocked everything that I could say. There are times when we do that. Guess what? That energy came right back to me in different forms. They're here for a reason. We like to boot them out, but guess what? They come back. So anyways, I hope that helps. All right, in my experience, Jenny, you cannot cut ties with your twin flame. She said, I cut cords with mine and still had him showing up in my dreams in the 5th dimension. You know, at first I was angry and said, leave me alone, but now I've surrendered to the divine that he's part of me for whatever reason, even if you don't communicate in 3D. That's exactly right. If someone is showing up to you, you know what? This happens with people that are not twin flames. People showing up in your dreams. People showing up. I'm saying that if someone is in your physical presence, there's a reason that they're there. Cutting ties, you know, this gets into the physical structure and reality of what twin flames are, and all that is belief. It's all belief. Just like Bashar just said it, the only thing that exists, you exist. That's the rules. You exist. And then a few other ones that, you know, we just mentioned. All the rest of it is belief systems. So we're creating our belief systems, and we've all collectively created an experience of what I would consider as twin flames. And the rules right now are you can't cut ties with your twin flame. Those are the rules. And it's very subtle. I really, like I said, I can't really speak to that because I'm really detaching from the matrix experience of that. And that belief system sits in itself with a collective of people who create it. And I think the lesson here, though, is what Jenny said. The physicality of whether you can cut ties or not. Hey, if you can cut ties with someone that you don't want to talk to and they disappear from your reality, boom, that's great. But if they keep coming back, deal with what is in the now. Deal with their energy. Go into the surrender and try to show you, what is this telling me about me? Love you, Jenny, for sharing that. Thank you. All right, Ava, what do you think the real purpose of twin flame and their soul contract? When you say their soul contract, all I'm going to say is I'm assuming, and I don't know as I should, assuming that you mean the soul contracts that they have with the other people in their life. And that's what I'm getting. Gosh, it's as varied as anything. You know, each being that is here in separated consciousness has a whole bunch of belief systems that they come in through the DNA, through programming and everything else. And they take them on almost like they put the skin of this on, and they came here to go down the path of, at this time space, I strongly get the impression that we're here undoing all of those programs and realizing that they are programs and getting out of the program so that we can be free. And so the purpose of any soul contract is the same, which is, you know, you're mirroring to me things that I need to know about myself that I haven't been willing to see inside of myself, that I'm seeing in you and projecting onto you so that I can see that I'm doing that so that I can stop doing that. I hope that makes sense. That's what we do. We create a reality where we project onto other people our beliefs about ourselves. They show up. We see, or we don't see, but we see. When we finally see that they're a projection of what we want or what we don't want or whatever, we realize we created them in that state. And once we realize that, we uncreate it and boom, it clears. And that is when connections can be over. When that, in the most highest sense, you can cut off any connection that you want at any time, like I did with the pastor throwing that cell phone across. Never talking to you again. Never talk to him again. Probably never will talk to him again on this side of the veil. But I'm still going to deal with all that energy I didn't deal with. I have dealt with it. I had to deal with it in a different way. It was my soul's choice. I'm not going to deal with it in this way. I'm going to deal with it in another way. So it's literally to bring you to who you are. And those soul contracts are part of it. So again, you have to stay in the now, allow it all to unfold. Those soul contracts have to be worked through. You know, you can't control whether they do their work or not. You can only control whether you do your own work. And I always say that. So I hope that that's helpful, Ava. Rachel, why do I feel spirits or something touch me? I feel heat sensations. Because you're starting to realize that, you know, you're getting in touch with the different bodies of your system. You're getting in touch with who you are, that you're not just this physical body, that you have a spiritual body, and so does everyone else. And that you can feel that other person in your field. You know, sometimes it's a pleasant feeling and sometimes it's not. But when you say spirits, all that is energy bodies. And you can strengthen your energy field so that other energy feels like a bubble so that other people don't invade that space. You know, you can have the consciousness, but what I've always learned is that when you clear and shield your field, or if you make sure to clear those attachments and things of that nature, you just want to keep your own field clear and return back to them the things that belong to them. But yeah, you're just starting to feel like heat sensations. I can do that now too. I can feel heat. I can create an energy ball sitting right here. I can feel the heat. I can play with it. I can do things with it. So you start to, you know, that's starting to move into the metaphysical things that we are as metaphysical beings. Let's see. This going within, spending time in solitude and silence is getting to know yourself inside and out. And that's so important. Absolutely, Smita. That's exactly. Do you know I unplugged from technology for, gosh, it felt like a 24-hour period of time. And I know that doesn't sound like long, but for me, that is very long. And I kept going, well, I can't even play a game because my game's on my phone. But I allowed myself to just see things being revealed to me. I did a lot of breathing. I did a lot of just relaxing and allowing myself to sit in a floating state and see what's there. We need to do more of that. Meditation is so important, you know, so important. And that is meditation. All right. Let's see. All right. Had to ground after the visit because so much energy. All right. Similar situation with her husband. Jenna says people can be good friends and family and raise children together while being independent and not necessarily romantically patterned when they are emotionally mature enough. It's such a blessing. There you go. That's absolutely what I was talking about. Jenny, I'm so glad that you are doing all of that. And it makes me happy and relieved too, because the more of us that are on this path doing this work in this space, the more we change the reality around us. It becomes a collective experience. All right, let's see. Smita, yes, I traveled this alone this year to so many places. Oh, I want to go. But I want to go with all my friends. I want to go with all of you. All right. Okay. And you're saying, to clarify, Stephanie says she doesn't live with the person and they do very opposite things in the world. He's a surgeon, you're a spiritual teacher, but we help each other greatly. Well, there you go. There's that partnership. Hey, Kelly. Gosh, there's so many of you guys here, and you've been through and left and gone. And I just, you know, it looks like I'm probably just going to start wrapping down. I think that we've, you know, covered all of the things that were needing to be covered and discussed, unless I see something else come up. I see, yeah, Smita said a 24-hour silence. God, but see, do you see the similarities? We have this synergism going on between people that are on this path, and this shows our unity. This is our tribe, our spiritual family. And I honor the time that I get to spend with you guys. I really do. There's nothing I would have rather been doing than being here with you guys right now. So I think I'm going to end it on that note. I'm going to know that those people who are meant to hear this message will hear this message at the right time space. Usually when I work, it is not different than Cryon, and Cryon always says, you know, the people who are meant to hear this message will hear it at the time they're meant to hear it, and it will be just the message they need to hear it right now. So a lot of you that were here are like really aligned with me and now and here, and we're like reflecting each other in their beautiful wholeness, this woven fabric of love. And, you know, I feel I feel moved to tears actually how beautiful the energies are that are coming. And the reason why I wanted to be here and talk and bring this energy through was to provide the extra oomph that some of you might needed that, you know, are struggling. You don't need to struggle. We're all here together. I don't know where I would be without all of you. I would not be happy. It would be what I don't prefer. So anyways, we'll talk more about that. Yes, the Divine Masculine reading is coming. I'll see if I can do it today. You're very welcome. I am so happy. Crying is my stuff. Love to you all. Love to you, Kelly. Gosh. Oh, David, thank you so much. I'm glad you caught the broadcast too. Terry, thank you for sharing it. Terry and I need to have a conversation because Terry and I, you know, there's some collaboration I think to be done there too because of the fact that we both are working really with the physical reality of, you know, relationships. And I always thought I missed my counseling, I should miss my calling, that I should have been a counselor or a therapist. And I just never got the schooling, but that's okay because that's just not where I was meant to go. Yes, and we've got each other to support each other. Hi, Jane. Happy New Year. I love you, darling. I'm seeing more of your stuff now on my new profile. I have a new profile, and gosh, Facebook really messed with me. And I will tell you this, please, everyone, share my stuff if you see it and you resonate with it, because Facebook is slamming me left and right. Now I can't even post. I am an admin in quite a few groups. I can't even post to the groups I'm an admin in before they block me. So I'm like, okay, it's time for me to call in the troops. If you see something of mine that you like, please share it so that we can get that information around to the people who really need it, because Facebook doesn't like me. And they want my money. They want me to boost. And I do boost certain posts because, you know, you don't get to the people that like your page. You know, there's a lot of people that like my page that are following that it doesn't end up in their feed unless I boost it. So I guess I'm the sucker. But anyways, Cindy, Happy New Year. David, you too. Oh, I know, me and Facebook are funny, aren't we, Jane? High five. We have this love-hate relationship. Before I go, I do want to say that my platform is still coming. It is launching January 11th. It is going to have the focus of relationships under True Sacred Union, which is for twins, for non-twins, for soulmates, for marital people, anyone that wants to literally clear and move into higher aspects of relationships. Is what that platform's going to do. So be on the lookout for it. I'm excited about it. It's one of the things I'm apprehensive about because I really don't know. It's like they say, you build it and they will come. Okay, I trust you. I believe you. We'll see. And if not, I'll just use that as a thing I don't prefer to move me to where I do prefer, right? I love you guys. I love you. All right, well, I'm going to sign off now. Maybe I'll be able to get that Divine Masculine reading in today. If not, it is coming as soon as possible. I love you all. Thank you so much for being my beautiful friends and family and tribe mates and walking this path with me. Namaste.